My biggest fear has been producing an inferior product,
Mm.
or a product that simply that wouldn't pass muster. Um, but what that's done is it's shown me and taught me that, first off, don't release something unless it's at least minimally viable. Um, don't release a crappy product. If you do release one, you're going to have to deal with it in the future. So that's what I've learned over these last few months.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of the Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7 and 8 figure businesses, as well as the CEO and founder of Miller IP Law, where we help startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. If you ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com and we're always happy to help. Now, today we have another Where They At Now episode where, it's always kind of fun. We always have the original guest on. We'll talk about how they got to where they're at today, kind of what their journey was. And then, but we never necessarily hear, kind of what happened after that. So it's fun to have people back on, kind of hear how are things going? Did things go as according to plan? Did things pivot? Did they adjust? And kind of what did you learn over the last 6 months? And so we have another great guest on that was previously on, Tom Milligan, that he'll be talking a little bit about all of his journey. He does ourdivorce.com as a reminder that helps people to streamline to how to get a divorce and use it through their system and through software side of it. So he'll give us a little bit of a reminder as to where he was at 6 months ago, and then we'll hear a little bit about what's going on now. So with that, welcome back onto the podcast, Tom.
Hey, thanks, Devin. It's great to be back with you.
So I gave just a very brief kind of introduction as to what we're going to be chatting about, but maybe kind of as a quick review for the listeners, kind of tell or remind everybody where you were at 6 months ago, what was going on, and then we'll talk about how it's gone since then.
Well, as a quick reminder, I started ourdivorce.com not because I'm an attorney, which I am not. I started Our Divorce because I had been divorced about 20 years ago, and it was a rough divorce, cost me a lot of money and spent a lot of time doing it. Um, but I went through a divorce about a year and a half ago. And when that divorce was happening, I made a vow to myself that it wasn't going to cost me so much money and it wasn't going to take so much time. So I put together a plan, and thankfully, my now ex-wife agreed to that plan. And we were able to get our divorce paperwork ready to file within 48 hours of making that decision. It cost us nothing. And it's something a friend of mine at the time, a divorce attorney, said, "Man, if you could package this up, this would be quite a business. You'd help a lot of people." And so an idea was born. So the day after the divorce was final, I started ourdivorce.com. We started the development efforts. And when last we spoke, we'd had a couple of fits and starts. We did a launch on September 1st. We kind of had to pull the product back, redo a few things. Since then, we've added another 1,000 or so couples. I think at the time we were just at about 12 or 1,300 couples that have entered the system. We've added another 1,000 or so since then. We've learned a lot about marketing, which I'm sure we'll talk about. It's been a great. I think it's been about 5-6 months since the last time we spoke. So looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Well, that's a great reminder to people. So yeah, let's dive into it. Because I think last we talked, it may have been, I'm trying to remember if you'd actually launched, you were just getting ready to launch. I think it was right around the time you just launched, you'd kind of gone through a bit of, or you'd done a soft launch in September 1. And then, I think since then, and as we chatted a bit before this episode, you had to pull it back and then you did another soft launch. So maybe give us an idea, what was the motivation? Why did you pull it back and what did you learn? And then how did the second kind of soft launch go?
Sure. So the reason we had to do we had to pull it back and relaunch was because we want to make sure that we have a quality product. I mean, that's the bottom line. I would rather have customers angry at me for not having not being able to finish the product rather than being angry at me because they did finish and it didn't work.
Hmm.
And so we decided to pull it back because we went into this thinking it was going to be probably a little bit easier than it has been. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs have that same uh, hope and dream where, hope springs eternal. And we just realized that, every state is different. We knew that going into it. The laws are different. The paperwork's different. We had to create, not to get overly technical, but I'm assuming a lot of people understand the concept of a mail merge from Excel to Word. And the
Mhm.
concept is that we gather a bunch of data in our application, and then we have to fill out the forms in each state. And there are 25,000 separate variables and fields that we potentially, not in every document, of course, but we have 25,000 variables that we have to manage. And there's a lot of room for error. And we had not accounted for all of that room when we did our first launch. And so we had to pull it back and just make sure that everything was perfect. Um, and I wish that I could say everything was perfect today. It's more perfect, and we fix things as we go now rather than launching with known issues.
Now, one question I'll ask is, pulling back a product, it's always a bit painful in the sense that it almost feels like you're admitting defeat, or at least, temporary defeat, in the sense of, man, we launched it, we thought we had it, and then there were enough issues that we wanted to pull back so that we weren't quality issues. When you did that, how did you approach the customers? Did you just simply say, hey, it's not working as well as you want, we're going to refund your money? Is it, hey, we can finish up what we already have, we'll do it manually, or we'll do it by hook or crook and get it done? Or kind of, how did you pull it back when you figured out that there's a lot more variables to account for?
A great question, and there was a lot of debate as to how to handle it. But the one thing that was never up for debate was full transparency. We just
Mm.
decided right up front that we would just be fully transparent, explain the situation. If we lost a few of the customers, we lost a few of the customers. But what there was no need to give a refund because we don't charge anything until the end. So what we have done for the customers that had to wait, we did give them a discount, either $50 or $100. We only charge $300, so there's not that much of a discount that we can offer. So
Sure.
we gave a $50 or $100 discount depending on how long they had to wait for us. And it was I got to tell you, I was nervous
Mm.
for, as one can imagine, to make that decision. But then when we started offering updates, daily or weekly updates, depending on what was going on at the time, to the customers, and only to the customers that had already finished the process and were just waiting for us to print the paperwork. That's really the only holdup we've ever had, is being able to print paperwork that would be accepted by the courts, which is the
Mhm.
ultimate goal of our divorce.
Mm.
Um, and so I've had the opportunity to speak to several of these customers, not just emails and texts, but actual phone conversations. And one of them, a few weeks ago, when we were just finishing up this state, I can't remember exactly which state it was, but this customer had been waiting for about a month, and they were getting frustrated, and you could tell. And so I picked up the phone. I
Mhm.
called this guy. His name's Greg. We ended up talking for 30 minutes, and we bonded. We had a great time. And I said, "Look, Greg, I'm so sorry that this has taken so long. I mean, it's hard. This is not an easy thing we're doing here. If it were
Mhm.
easy, everyone would be doing it." Um, and that it doesn't excuse anything. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just telling you, I'm trying to be open and upfront. And he said, "Look, thank you so much for calling. We're just happy to be a part of this. We're so happy that there's a service out there that does this. We're willing to wait." And it was so great. And so he's actually offered to do a video testimonial as well, as soon as their divorce has been signed by the judge. So he and his soon-to-be ex-wife, um, you'll see him on our TikTok channel soon.
So no, and I think that, I think that's a testament, one, that people want and need your service, but also two, a lot of times you can either say, oh, we're having to pull this back. It almost feels like defeat, but you can take it as an opportunity to learn about your product, learn from other people. It's to what you could change, what you can make better, and it gives you an opportunity to improve it, as opposed to just simply just feel like you have to, hold off or not, not do it. And it's never an easy thing. And I get that there's a lot of debates going back and forth, but it sounds like out of that you got one, you found out you had more or people that were wanting, and there was demand, there were loyal people that were willing to wait, and then you also got some feedback. So it sounds like overall it was a worthwhile endeavor. Now, one
Absolutely.
of, one of the other kind of questions to follow up is, as you're hitting all these issues, and I think that, and we chatted a little bit before the podcast, you always discover it takes 2 or 3. Now, even if you even build in cushion to what you think your timeline is and say, okay, I think it's going to take 6 months. I'll say it's 9 months. It usually still takes 2 or 3 times longer than the 9 months or whatever that time frame it is, and also takes 2 or 3 times the money. So it inevitably, I think everybody thinks, oh, I've planned this down. I'm going to be the exception. I'm going to be the one that actually keeps it on budget and on time. And then everybody, I don't know if I met an inventor that just, unless it was so drop dead simple that there was nothing to it,
Right.
everybody hits into that. So as you're hitting into that and you're figuring out, okay, first of all, you're having to pull it back, you're having to hold off a bit, you're having to deal with customers and letting them know what's going on. And then you're also having to figure out how to fund it, how to do more time and money, and how to extend the runway until you can get paying customers. How did you balance all of that where it's taking longer, it's costing more, and you're still not getting revenue in?
Well, so this project, I think we mentioned this last time we were together, has been self-funded primarily. I funded this myself through savings and the sale of a home after the divorce, and also my business partner, Jill, has been funding, adding some funds as needed. Um, we do have revenue now. So
Mhm.
it's not that we have to fund everything anymore. That's the good news. We still haven't made a profit, but we will get there here in the next month or two.
Hmm.
Um, and so the number of days that we're going to have to continue throwing money at this are quickly coming to an end, and that's pretty
Hmm.
exciting. Now, as far as making some of those decisions, I mean, it really comes down to we can't afford, especially at the very beginning of our business, we couldn't afford any bad reviews. We certainly couldn't afford to get the word out that we provide crappy product or that our documents aren't accepted by the courts. And again, like I said at the beginning, I would really rather have a bunch of angry people saying, "Wow, you didn't give me documents," rather than "Your documents suck."
No, and I think that there's a good point. And I think the other lesson a bit to learn in there is, it makes sometimes, you always hear, take money and take venture capital and take, this and that, and that's how you fund a company. And yet sometimes when you're self-funding it, when you hit those bumps in the road, even though it hits your pocketbook, you're not having investors that are frustrated. Why is it taking longer? Why is it more expensive? And everything else, because it gives you the bandwidth to do what you need to do with the product to make sure that it is what you promise on and what you want to deliver, and you're not under the crunch of the timeline so much that you're delivering product that you can't be proud of. So I think that is one that sometimes, even though it sounds like venture capital money, angel, and there's certainly a place for that, so I'm not knocking that, but it also gives
Sure.
the flip side of when sometimes it's better to not have taken that money so that you can do what you need to with the product.
Yep. That's a
So
good
now,
lesson.
so now kind of catching up. So you pulled it back, you reeled it back in, you take a while, you fix the problems, you deal with the variables, you figure out what you didn't know before so that you can update it. You go through all of that exercise and that experience. Now you guys have relaunched since then. You had, I think originally when we talked, you had 1,300. You even have more than that now. So
Hmm.
maybe fill us in a bit on how's the relaunch since you've done the second soft launch, fix things. How's it gone?
It's gone well. I mean, clearly, it's not perfect. I wish I could say it's perfect, and quite frankly, it never will be.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Laws
say that
change.
I've yet to meet someone that has done any project, especially software, but really any project where, hey, it's done, it's perfect, it's just what it needs to be. Because even when you just about reach that point, you have the next idea of how to improve it and make it better, and it starts all over again.
Yeah. Well, and so we went through and we defined MVP, the minimum viable product,
Mhm.
and that's what we have achieved. And so we have literally hundreds of items on the software backlog and we're organizing into sprints now. So we're doing 2 week sprints. Now we're into product enhancement rather than product development. So that's always a really fun place to be.
Mhm.
Um, and so what we've also done, uh, well, let's just start at the beginning. I mean, the bottom line is that this is like any sales organization, which is what we are. I mean, let's face it. Um, it's a funnel, and it starts with number of visitors to the website. And so what we did, and I can't remember exactly where we were in the process when we spoke last time. I should have taken the time to listen. I apologize, but
Oh, no worries.
um, we started a TikTok channel way back in September and had a couple of viral videos completely by surprise.
Mhm.
And so we decided to continue using TikTok as our primary marketing method. Well, over time, it became so effective, that we stopped all Google and Facebook ads entirely. We literally pay nothing for advertising, and we get about 20,000 unique visitors a month to our site. So what we decided is that in order to really focus on that traffic, we actually started an affiliate program where we actually found several TikTok influencers and paid them a very small amount of money. I think it was a nickel per unique visitor that they drove to their unique URL. And it really just drove a ton of traffic, and it got us a good name. Well, what we learned quickly, though, is that while 80% of our traffic was coming from those influencers, only 20% of our starts, that's what we call the people who enter the program, the starts, only 20% of the starts came from them. And so Jill and I, when we do our own videos, that's only 20% of the volume on our site, but it's 80% of the start. So it's truly the 80-20 rule. So what we've learned is that while Jill and I don't produce as much traffic, we are far more effective. As a matter of fact, we did learn that just this last week, we ran some numbers, 13% conversion. So 13% of the people who go to my videos or Jill's videos convert and actually start the process. And I think most people would kill or die for a 13% conversion rate. So you start the funnel at the top with visitors on the site, then they have to click get started, and then their 3-step process. And so obviously people fall out of the process along the way, but what comes out the bottom is some subset of all of those people who said get started. And it's, it's a, what we've recently done is we've actually just ended yesterday. We ended our affiliate program with our influencers. We had to give 30 days notice per the contract, and so we did. And yesterday was the last day of that program. Not because we don't love them all, and they were driving a ton of traffic. When I say 20,000, I mean just from Jill and me. We were getting about 80,000 with our affiliates, and but they just weren't producing enough, and so our cost per completion was greater than our actual money. So it cost us more than $299 just to get a completion. We got a lot of name recognition, but we still got to make money. So
every good business still needs to make money, and that as opposed to what you see on TV and read, where they have unlimited funds and you got lots of investors and you can lose money for 99% of the businesses. If you don't make money, you're going to go out of business. So I definitely understand that. And one of the other things you just started to touch on, but I thought was interesting is, as you guys are redoing the soft launch and you're, getting things going again and, kind of are seeing how it turns out, you found out, you looked at the analytics and one of the things you found out was also that Sunday was your busiest day. So tell us a little bit first on, how did you guys start to, is analytics important? How did you guys start to figure out your analytics and any other insights that you guys kind of gained as you're going along that path?
Sure. So as like I said, we kind of fell into TikTok. So we didn't do this on purpose, but we do now. It's all on purpose. We release 2 videos a day, but we do that because we have to test when the best time of day to release is. And so in order to know what time of day, we also need to know day of week. And so when are people the most likely, and at what time on that day are they most likely to want to get a divorce, which is, it's a horrible thing to think about. And I'm in such a weird position because I don't advocate for divorce. I just want to make sure divorce doesn't have to suck as bad as it has in the past. And so we started running, there are always 2 people involved, of course, in every divorce. And we call them an instigator and a recipient, because the first person actually starts the process and then invites the other person to join. And so what we do is we count instigator account creation date and time. That's kind of how we figure everything out. And what we've learned is, by the way, 67% of our instigators are women. And Sunday is by far our busiest day in terms of new starts. Roughly 45% of our starts happen on Sundays. And so we focus a lot of our efforts on making sure that our videos are most, what we believe to be our best videos, go out on Saturday and Sunday to try and, gather that, basically capture that weekend divorce fever for whatever reason. That's when people do. And I don't know if it's because they get angry at their spouse on a Sunday or because they're not working. I don't know exactly why Sunday is so busy. It just is.
Hmm. That's interesting. So now but I think it's a testament. At least you may not always know the reason behind, but for example, if you're saying, hey, the majority of our the or initial contact or initial users are going to be women, then you may adjust how you're going to or change your messaging or your videos or how they interact with it or what it's like. And same thing if you're saying, hey, if Sundays are the thing, we may need to either have more customer service or staff up or otherwise adjust our message. So if people are doing it on the weekends, doing it when they have downtime, they're not doing it during the workday. I think it's a testament to the reason why you need the analytics behind what you do rather than just guess and not pay attention to it, because it can have a big impact one way or the other. And even with your affiliate marketing, it sounds like all of those, if you're not paying attention, it's easy to miss the things that are going to make the business even more successful.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that, now that we know a lot of these things, um, we know that, and this is not to toot my own horn in any way, because I don't even know why this is true.
Mm,
Um, but what we know is that the videos that I produce and put out on TikTok um, tend to go more viral than Jill's. And I love Jill's videos more than my own. So it's not about that.
mm,
I think it comes down to there aren't a lot of men on TikTok talking about their feelings and their divorces and stuff like that.
mm.
And and so our audience, which is primarily women, I think that they find that endearing. I don't know what the right word is, but
Mm.
they
It resonates more with them,
it
sure.
resonates somehow with women. Um, and so we try to do some really inspirational videos. We try to have a lot of fun with the videos. We make fun of people. We make fun of ourselves quite a bit.
Mm.
Um, and we just try to have fun, and it's just the beautiful part of TikTok. Now, the other crazy thing, by the way, and not that this is a commercial for TikTok, but I strongly encourage any business, especially in a B2C type of a business. Um, it's free.
Mm.
And in fact, it's actually better than free, because as soon as you reach a certain following, you can join the Creators Fund. So I actually get paid to make
Mm.
videos to advertise my own business. Um, it's an insane. It cost me negative dollars to advertise, and that's like a dream.
Mm.
Um, so anyway, just to throw it out there. If you're in the B2C business, TikTok is a great place to be if you want to have some fun with it.
No, and I think that's a good insight and good lesson learned. So, well, as we start to wrap towards the end of the podcast, now looking, so we kind of had the original podcast episode that we did was looking, kind of 6 months ago. We heard about your journey. Now we've heard kind of the last 6 months, how things have gone, how you've pivoted, adjusted. Looking once again to the future, if you're to take the next, again 6 to 12 months out, where do you see things headed? What are kind of the plans, and what's next for you guys?
Well, the biggest project we're involved with right now is that we just tripled our legal staff, literally this week. Um, so we now have far more legal professionals involved, and so we are improving the documents, even though the documents are acceptable. We're improving the legal documents so that they're better, they're more efficient. Um, we're trying to reuse documents across states wherever possible, or portions of documents, so that we don't have to manage every piece of it individually, and we can just manage a master. Like, for example, an asset division table is something that we can reuse in every single state. And so we are
Mm,
going through all 51 jurisdictions and replacing the language about that with common language. So that's the biggest thing in terms of what's happening today.
mm,
What's happening going forward, over the next 6 to 12 months, what you'll see, the name Our Divorce was not an accident. Um, and really, what it comes down to is that anyone who's ever been divorced knows that when the judge signs your decree, it's not over. That's actually the beginning. And now you have to manage your divorce. There's financial implications from alimony, child support, then you've got visitation and parent time. You've got so many things that have to be managed to maintain an amicable divorce, that we will be building out tools that allow a divorced couple to manage their kids' calendar and their alimony payments and child
Mm.
support. And we will allow, we will have paperwork involved so that people can, file documents to change their child support or change their alimony order based on new jobs or anything like that. So the plan is, or like I say, it'll be a lifetime journey. But
Mhm.
you'll see the first release of our platform over the next 6 to 12 months about how to manage an existing divorce. So getting divorce is just the beginning. Now we can manage the ongoing divorce too.
No, but I think that's interesting because a legal field I get we're in the same, but even I do a lot of patents, trademarks, and intellectual property, and one of the things I've noticed is a lot of times you tend to focus on just one very narrow sliver of helping somebody in that, but there's always that things that they're doing before they come into contact with you, things that they're doing after they come into contact with you, of which they both need help and they need assistance, and so as you expand the product, a lot of times you're saying, hey, let's help them not just along this very narrow slice of their journey, but help them along as much of the journey as makes sense and as much as we're able to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot of people have that. They think that it's, hey, oh, good, I'm divorced. It's over. And it's just not. And there's just too much more to it. So we want to help people make their whole life cycle of their divorce go as quickly and easily as possible.
No, I think that definitely makes sense. So, well, and so now as we wrap up the podcast, I always have one question. Normally during the normal episodes, I have two questions I always ask, and we talk always about that. With the where are they at now episode, I always try and change up the question just a bit, because usually once you've got into it further and you got deeper into it, you find things that that keep you up at night, that keep you worried, that keep you that you fear, so to speak, or or make your concerns you always having to deal with. And so I always switch the question out for a bit. So now I'll ask my final question for the Where Are You At Now episode, which is, along your journey, what's been your biggest fear and what have you learned from it?
The biggest fear, um, it really comes down to what we've already talked about. I'm sorry to be boring, but my biggest fear has been producing an inferior product,
Hmm.
or a product that wouldn't pass muster. Um, but what that's done is it's shown me and taught me that, first off, don't release something unless it's at least minimally viable. Um, don't release a crappy product. And if you do release one, you're going to have to deal with it in the future. So that's what I've learned over these last few months.
No, I think that's a good lesson to learn. And I think it's one where it is a fear that you have that, hey, I'm going to put this out in the world. It's not going to work, or it's going to fail, or it's not going to, people aren't going to receive it. And it is one where you always have to constantly guard against it. That, there's two temptations. One is you work, you hold off so long that the product never makes it to market because you're always fearful that it's not going to work. It's going to be a crappy product. And then you have the flip side of it where you put it, you worried that if you wait too long, you're going to miss a market, you're going to miss a window, you're going to not be able to fund it, you're not going to be able to keep it going. And so there's always kind of those fears of, when is a product good enough? So I definitely understand that fear, and also kind of what you've learned as you've gone along as to how to deal with that fear. So very insightful. So, well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure to catch up with you again, hear where you guys are, where you're at, and hopefully things continue to be successful. Now, for all of you that are, and before I jump into that, one more reminder for people that if they forgot, they don't remember how to reach out to you, if they want to be a client, a customer, if they're going through a divorce or they're headed in that direction, if they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out, contact you, and find out more?
Well, first off, if you want to be my customer, I'm sorry to hear that. I really am. But if you do want to have an amicable divorce, go to ourdivorce.com. Um, you can read all about it. We have a great resources page where we have several contributing attorneys and other legal professionals that write blog posts for us. There's a lot of great information even if you're just interested in the subject matter.
Hmm.
If you want to contact me, the best way is just info@ourdivorce.com. Um, love to hear from you. Again, weird place to be. I don't want you to get divorced, but if you are going to get divorced, I hope I can help make it a little less painful.
No, but I think that's fair in the sense that, it's kind of like most of the time, although I get to play in a different area of law where people actually are excited to see an attorney and that, they have an invention, but most of the time it's like, oh, I have to go see an attorney. I don't want to see. It's like, hey, I'm sorry that you're going through a hard thing. Let's see how we can best help you out in a hard time. So I definitely get where that, kind of the conflict arises. But well, thank you again for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you that are listeners, if you have your own journey to tell and you'd like to come and be a guest on the podcast, we'd love to have or share your story. Just go to inventiveguest.com and apply to be on the podcast. 2 more things as a listener. 1, make sure to click subscribe in your podcast player so you know when all of our awesome episodes come out. And 2, leave us a review so other people can find out about all of our awesome episodes. Last but not least, if you ever need help with patents, trademarks, or anything else with your business, go to strategymeeting.com, and we're always here to help. Thanks again, Tom, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thanks so much, Devin.